accountable for their actions when they don't follow the law, a lot of these things would be solved. Okay, that's just my comment, Anthony.
Thank you very much.
Right.
Thanks. You know, that's true. If you're connected to the deep state, you're really not going to get in trouble. It's that simple. Now, another thing I have is we're dividing our country. We're pretty much split in half right now. And this political correctness really bugs me. You have to watch being politically correct. And I'll give you a friend. I used to watch a program all the time, Bill Maher. I used to actually like his program many years ago, maybe 15 years ago. It was called Politically Uncorrect, I think it was. It wasn't politically correct. It was like a sarcastic thing. And this maniac just said not too long ago on TV, Bill Maher, that he's hoping for a recession so Trump loses. Now, let me tell you what kind of statement that is. You're hoping for people to lose their homes, lose their jobs, lose everything they worked for just to prove a point. Isn't that getting a little carried away? That the only way, don't you have a candidate with all those more than 20 candidates, don't you have a candidate that you think is strong enough to beat Donald Trump, where you want the economy to collapse and people to lose? And he says he knows a lot of people get hurt, but it's worth it. Well, why don't he throw all his money away, take it out in the backyard, and burn it? Well, he can't burn it because it would cause global warming. But he should shred all his money. He should take all his money and put it in a shredder. Okay, and then stuff your mattress with it, because you're not going to have a house to live in because you're going to give all your stuff up. But that's going to be okay, right? To let all millions of people suffer because of your political views. I don't get that at all. Another thing about political correctness. The new 007 is going to be a woman. Okay, so why didn't they just kill off 007 and have 008? It doesn't make any sense to me why 007, who has always been a man and supposed to be the same person, it's just a different actor playing the part, now is going to be a woman. Well, maybe it shouldn't be a woman. Maybe it should be cross-gender. Maybe it should be gender neutral. 007 should become gender neutral. Okay? So, I don't understand why things have to be like this. Why do you have to take apart everything even if it's good? Because anything that the founding fathers did, according to certain people, is no good. Okay? People need to go and work with the Constitution. Democrat, Republican, work with the Constitution. They want to impeach Trump on the Constitutional? If you could get enough of votes to impeach him, then I guess that's what the people want. Because they are our representatives. And you voted them into office. But even some of the people are backing off. AOC is pretty quiet lately. Okay? They're telling her to shut up until I guess the primary's over. Barack Obama will not back his vice president because he doesn't want to knock anybody out the box. He wants to work with whatever the people want. Well, he should know what the people want. They wanted him. We got him for 8 years. So what he thinks, it should be what stand up and pick who you want. Okay? At the beginning, I picked Rudy Giuliani. I wanted Rudy Giuliani. I had signs for him and everything. The people didn't want him. Okay. I understand. I might be old school. The new generations don't want what I want. Well, eventually, things are going to change, not for what I want. I'm not going to hurt anybody because of it. The population wants it, that's what they get. Listen, we're going to go to a break. When we come back, 775-751-2579. Thank you.
Support for KPFF comes from B&P Dirtwork. B&P Dirtwork offers all-purpose backhoe for driveways and fifth wheel pads, digging trenches, clearing lots and fields, and more. B&P Dirtwork is licensed, insured, and happy to work for you. More information at 702-540-0961. That's 702-540-0961.
All statements heard on this station are that of the program hosts, co-hosts, guests, and callers alone, and are not necessarily those of this station or its affiliates.
Hello, this is LD, Lazy Dog Michael John. I'm going to host a show Sunday evenings at 7 p.m. called Lazy Dog's Front Porch. Why don't you come on by, crawl up on the porch, pull up a chair, and join me. We're going to have a good time. We're going to chat about this, that, everything else. We might even become interesting. We'll just see where it goes. Sunday night, 7 p.m. on KPFF.
Hello, listeners. Want to know what talk programs are broadcast by KPFF? The KPFF program guide is now on our Front Film Festival website. If you want to see what's coming up this week on KPFF, just go to www.frontfilmfestival.org. As programs are added or changed, so will the guide. That's www.frontfilmfestival.org for the best talk programs in Pahrump.
This is 97.7, Pahrum's community radio station.
And welcome back. So, on July 20th, we celebrated the anniversary of men landing on the moon. And the squad said, putting men on the moon by white guys makes the 50th anniversary racist. Okay? What we did 50 years ago, how has that become racist now? We got to stop with the... I'll be with you in a second, Ray. How could we turn around and everything's racist? Let me tell you something. We talked about racism here a couple of weeks ago and how it affected me in the way people talk to me. But in New York, okay, I was in business for many years, and I was licensed by the police department, and then it went over to the Department of Consumer Affairs. And when it went over to the Department of Consumer Affairs, I got the runaround because I couldn't speak Spanish. Okay? Is that racism? Well, I'll tell you what they did. They turned around and brought me in there with my paperwork, and they told me this paperwork's not correct. You got to go back, do this, this, and this. I go back with the paperwork 2 weeks later. This paperwork's not correct. I went back the third time with the paperwork from the first time, and they approved the license. They would just give me a runaround because I couldn't speak Spanish. Okay? And it wasn't a Mexican thing. At the time, New York was mainly Puerto Ricans were in the government there, and they were prejudiced against what they thought was a white person, was me. Okay? So racism comes on all levels, and it's getting ridiculous, and we need to start thinking like Americans and stop with, I'm Mexican, I'm Puerto Rican, I'm Italian. No. I am not an Italian American. I am an American of Italian heritage. I'm an American first. Go ahead, caller. Hey, buddy.
I had Louis DeCamio pull up the docket for Justice Court next week. And it's blank all the way till Friday.
Why?
Well, because it's ketchup week. You know, we're all familiar with ketchup week. Once every month they take a whole week off. When I say they, the girls that are doing the typing and everything behind the windows, they're still working. But the judges aren't in court. There's no court cases. They just delay everything so they can catch up on paperwork. Now this is absurd. To pull up a docket, you can do it yourself, PaHrumpJusticeCourt.com. Pull up courtrooms, Justice Court A or B. You'll find there's nothing there till Friday. And Friday is what they call citation review. Now Louis pulls that up and he gives me the names. These are people who got traffic tickets and have not shown up yet within the 60 days. And if they don't show up on Friday, by Friday, they get a letter sent to them where it costs them another $50 because they were reminded to show up and because you got a traffic ticket. Right. So it's all revenue enhancement, more ways of making money.
Right.
But to have two courtrooms shut down for a whole week They will see the in custody, people that got arrested. They'll do that a couple times during the week because they can't leave that go for too long. But it just delays justice for everybody. Anybody in a slammer that they have what they call a 15-day rule to get a preliminary hearing. This delays it another week. They got to sit. So it's just not right. Justice delayed is justice denied. And that's what's going on in justice court right now. You understand all that?
Oh, I understand that. The key thing there is if it's not a violent crime, they should get a bench ticket and they have to appear instead of putting people in the jail.
You're exactly right. You know, in Washoe County, when marijuana was illegal in this state, they weren't arresting people for small amounts of marijuana. They gave them a citation.
Exactly.
In court. Out here, they're locking them up. You had any kind of marijuana, you got locked up for 7 days.
Right.
Now it's legal. Do you ever get those 7 days back because you did it when it was illegal? This is really absurd.
Right.
If they're out to punish the people, that's what I'm seeing.
Right.
I'm watching in these courts for the last 17 years on a daily basis.
It's
and
not.
what I surmise is they're punishing the people. They're not working for us, they're working against us. They're using us for anything they can. And it's so irrational, but that's how it is. Just like you're talking about the Constitution, you're talking about people's rights. That doesn't apply, especially from what I'm seeing in 9 counties. It doesn't apply here because they're going to do whatever they want. I talked to a guy named Denny who listens to your show all the time. He listens to you and Lazy Dog. And he was telling me how he is bothered by the motorcycle cops for no reason. They pull him over and this and that. He drives a truck for some business out here. And he said it's really absurd how they get so technical on every little thing. He hasn't got cited yet, but they're threatening him with tickets for $1,100 for this and that. He wanted to start a recall for Worthy. I said they don't work.
Right.
You know what? If you've been around for a while, recalls don't work. Red Dyer got recalled because he deserved to get recalled. Because he got put in prison.
Right.
Red Dyer got 30 years. He's convicted of 6 charges, felony charges. They give him 30 years, but they ran him concurrent, meaning all of them are at the same time.
Right.
He put in, they were all 5-year sentences. He put in 2.5 years and got released.
Right.
After 2.5 years, guess what? I talked to Kurt Biddle. All the things that he had accumulated, stolen from the dead people, from the families of the dead people, because nobody claimed those items, he got them. He serves 2.5 years. His wife goes to Mexico and hides out because they want to, prosecute her. And he does 2.5 years on a 30-year sentence, and he gets to keep everything he stole. What's the justice here, Anthony? Come on.
No, there is no justice. That's what the whole thing is, because he was part of the system.
Yeah.
He was part of the system. They protect themselves. So he did 2.5 years, and he got all the money. His wife took off with a whole bag full of money, and that's what they do. They protect it. That's the deep state. Now, they're not punishing the people by locking them up. They're intimidating them. That's not punishment. They're trying to intimidate people into follow the rules or be persecuted, not prosecuted. It's nothing but intimidation. It's intimidation. Yes, it is.
These people are scared.
Yeah.
When I talk to them at the courthouse, they're afraid to see the judge. They'll pay $195 for a minuscule ticket for petty because they're terrified of the judge. I told that to Lisa Chambly the other day. She was shocked. I said, Lisa, I'm out there talking to these people. They get these tickets and they're afraid to come in front of you, even though you're a good person and you're doing right by them. They're terrified of coming in this court. And this should not be happening. This should not. If there's a serious traffic violation, that's one thing. But all this petty stuff, where they're laying in wait, it's like speed traps all over the place. I got to drive through the school zone on Tuesday because I have a high appointment with Dr. Leaks at 9 o'clock. And school is going to be going. And I know those motorcycle cops are going to be, hiding out in that school area. And I'm a very careful driver. But even me, rate a flagman, I'm thinking, I says, let me just get me. I'm 1 mile over or whatever, my speedometer's off or something like that. It's just too much. This is not the country that you and I understand, that we root for good and for justice. But it's not happening, Anthony.
I know.
Let me ask you a question. What happened with this Espe? You're from New York. How did they let this guy whack himself in a jail cell?
He didn't whack himself. He didn't whack himself. Somebody took him out.
There's implications. I think Trump even made an implication. Too many people would call if he testified.
Exactly right. You'd be surprised.
High up on the list or whatever, and they didn't want that to happen. I mean, He was on suicide watch, they took him off, and all of a sudden he committed suicide?
Yeah,
Doesn't
no.
make any sense.
No, he got whacked. I'm telling you. Let me tell you. Remember McDougal, who was the guy? McDougal's wife was so scared she wouldn't even go testify. She was willing to go to jail not to testify against the Clintons. McDougal, who was testifying against the Clintons, they left him in his cell until he was dead. Okay, they didn't kill him, but they didn't help him.
Well, there's a whole litany of people that were affiliated with the Clintons that they found them dead or suicide or whatever.
Right, well, look at Vince Foster.
Yeah, Vince Foster.
Left-handed guy shot himself in the back of the head twice with his right hand.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's so obvious, and yet, I mean, I was shocked to hear that this guy was under suicide watch. They stopped watching him and totally went.
Yeah,
anyway,
I don't believe
it. Good show. I want to compliment you.
Thank you.
And I always end with, I accept Jesus Christ as my Lord and Savior. Keep the faith, power to the people. Keep up the good work. Anthony Greco.
Thank you very much. So here's the thing, political correctness that I don't understand. Okay? There's a painting of George Washington in a school in California. It's going to cost them $600,000 to take the painting down because they're saying these grammar school children, elementary school, grammar school, are being mentally disturbed by looking at his picture. Okay, now how does a young kid get the idea that George Washington was no good? Who put that in their head? They're not teaching. Why would that turn around? They should, if that's what they believe, that's a symbol of what you don't want to be, if that's your belief. To me, George Washington is a symbol of the country. Okay? Yeah, I talked about this once, but do we have a history that is good? Do we have some of our history is bad? Yes, but you learn from your mistakes. We're trying to learn from our mistakes every day. Destroying that painting of one of the founding fathers, our first president, is ridiculous. Okay, I saw a picture of George Washington in my grammar school, Abraham Lincoln. It didn't disturb me. Nobody turned around and told me he was a bad man. I don't understand. How does this happen? We have another call?
No, I couldn't hear anything when you called in.
Okay, I think it's ridiculous to turn around and if that picture disturbs them, tell them they want to go to another school. But to destroy our history, whether it's good or bad, how are you going to learn to be better if you try to show all these people bad? What they're just trying to do is they're trying to discredit our founding fathers so they can take away the Constitution and discredit the Constitution. It's no good because these people that drew it up were no good. That's what they're working on. That's ridiculous. It's got to stop. We got to stop this. Okay, look at the people in Puerto Rico. Remember when they were mad at Trump because he wasn't doing anything for anybody with the hurricane in Puerto Rico? And what did they find out? The political machine in Puerto Rico is stealing all the money. And they were letting their people suck wind. How long ago, how many years ago was that hurricane? There's people still there with no electricity. Their houses weren't rebuilt. Nothing was done because they're stealing the money. The bureaucrats and the corrupt politicians were stealing and diverting the money. They had stuff at the piers that we sent from this country, from the mainland United States to Puerto Rico. They couldn't get the stuff off the piers. It was tractor-trailer load of bottled water and supplies. They couldn't get the stuff off the pier because the government there didn't know how to run anything because all they were interested to do was take it for themselves. Why would they rebuild that grid down there? You have power failures all over. Why don't they put solar panels? It would be cheaper to put solar panels in everybody's yard instead of rebuilding a piece of garbage grid and have corrupt politicians controlling everything. Give the people solar power. You got to pay for it anyway. Give it to them. They don't have a bill, but it's all about money. It's not about taking care of the people. If they wanted those people, they could start rebuilding their houses and putting on the roof solar panels. California did something good. Any house that you build now has to produce 110% of what you use. the person's not going to have an electric bill. They're going to push 10% of what they're not using into the grid to help out. It's clean energy, okay, and I'm not no tree hugger. It only makes sense. So you rebuild. I believe that they should do that here in Pahrump. Any new construction, you have to have enough of solar on your home to cover yourself and 10% for the grid. Nothing wrong with that. It could be a $50,000, $60,000 item on your house. It's only going to cost you not even $100 a month. It's cheaper for having it put on your brand new house as it's being built than it will be for your own electricity. Now the people have money. They have, instead of paying some power company that everybody hates anyway, okay, because you got criminals over there too. Maybe they're not criminals. Maybe they just don't know what they're doing. So I can't really call them criminals because I don't know it for a fact. So I'll just say they're not competent enough to do what they're supposed to do. So I think we should turn around and, as of 2020, January of 2020, so anybody who's getting a permit now is not affected by it, okay? They're grandfathered in, but anybody who's building a house now, for $50 to $100 a month, you could be power free from the sun. You're not taking anything away from our grid. If anything should happen to the grid, they still have power. Okay, so you're doing the person a favor. You're saving them $200 or $300 a month by paying $50 to $100 on a mortgage for your power. And of course, it should be guaranteed like that, a warranty with the house and everything like that. I don't have a problem with that. Okay, I'm no fan of Valley Electric. Do I think they're criminals? No. Do I think that they don't know what they're doing? Yes. And that's what the problem is. You have people in charge that don't know what they're doing. You know, everybody thinks that Tom stole money. He didn't steal any money. You know who screwed us big time? The board of directors. Because they voted to keep giving him more and more money. They voted for the contract for when he retires, how much money he's going to get. They did that. If somebody turned around and said to you, listen, I want another $100,000, and you say, yeah, okay, here's the contract. Is it the person's fault who asked for the $100,000 or the 6 people that gave it to him? You got to look at how things go bad. Okay? The person in charge, the CEO, the president, they're supposed to be, the board of directors is supposed to be protecting us. Well, if they think that this guy Tom just came off the cross and he knew everything about electricity and business, well, they should have investigated it. But was he giving them money too? And saying, well, you guys should get a raise and you should get this and you should get that. You know how bad it was? They had 38 people working for this company for 6 to 8 years that we didn't need. That's not theft. That's stupidity. There's your problem. When you have people that are only looking out for themselves and they want all the people working for them to like them so nobody looks and does checks and balances. Same thing with Nye County. Why don't you have anybody whistleblowers in Nye County? Because they're being manipulated with great contracts, great pensions, and great insurance. What agency, government agency, pays health benefits for their workers with no copay, no nothing? Who gets that? Nye County, little county, 50,000 people in the whole place. And they get that. Do you realize that 80% of your tax